Hello! Wait. I don't think you're a friend. Get over there. Hello, welcome to Drunk Doctor Who, episode 82, Pyramids of Mars.
Oh, hello there.
Yeah. Today is November 15th, 2021, and this serial, the final episode, aired November 15th, 1975.
What a coincidence.
Yep, 46 years ago to the day.
We actually planned this out 3 years ago when we filmed the first podcast.
No, we did not at all. Happened to be a fortunate coincidence.
I planned it out.
No, you didn't. I just noticed it when I was putting the stuff up today.
I was like, are we going to line up with
Pyramids of Mars?
With Pyramids of
the 82?
No, I better call off this week so we can.
I'm not sure. Yeah. It was so coincidentally we watched a movie last week, so this ended up working out like that. Although we would have seen the third episode on the day, 46 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we watched it last week. I am not sure if we've ever, you and I, watched an episode on the anniversary of that episode.
I'm pretty sure it's happened at least once. And I think we mentioned it too. We said today's, and we...
Okay, cool.
I'd have to look. I'd have to check, but I think it happened once to where
cool, awesome.
We lined up with like either a beginning or an ending episode being the same day we filmed.
Yeah, or any episode. Yeah.
It might not. I might be misremembering something.
I don't know if I want to go back and watch all of them just to figure it out, or at least see the caption at the beginning. All right.
That is 82 times, like an average of 2 hours per episode. That's 164 hours of content.
Yeah, thank you for joining us for 164 hours of content.
You could do that in a few days. That's
Right. Number of episodes was 4.
4 episodes.
The companion was Sarah Jane, and the enemies, Sutekh and his golems. Hey, what are you drinking?
What was I gonna say? White Claw.
Hard seltzer.
The law of the club, brah.
And I'm drinking Magma Flame because life is too short for bad tasting alcohol.
You take my claw, brah? Nah, brah. Do not take your claw, brah.
Okay. I don't know what that's.
This is what they drink at all the fraternities.
Really?
Yeah, only 100 calories per drink.
I have no idea how many calories that is, but alright. So anyway.
How many calories are in spirits?
I know vodka's only 80 calories per shot. And that's the only one I know.
Per shot?
Because it was in an episode of...
Parks and Rec? Curb Your Enthusiasm?
Nope.
What's the other one? Arrested Development?
Nope. It was in Wonderland Falls. It was in an episode of Wonderland Falls.
Never watched that one.
With the guy from American Pie in it. Shipwreck, I think was his name. Anyway, so
not the name I was expecting.
So that guy was in an episode of Wonderland Falls where he lost weight, and so he knew the caloric value of everything. And he mentions very specifically, when I go back to my place and get drunk, a shot of vodka only has 80 calories. So that's the only reason I know that. All right, Pyramids of Mars. Quite possibly the most dangerous enemy the Doctor has ever faced up until this point. Sutekh. No, he states that.
Omega.
That's a close call. However,
to humanity.
However, at this point, I think this guy is up for our one shot bad
like
guy. Right. Because we're doing, if you watch our Heroes and Villains last week, mostly we talk about villains that come back over and over again. But for each Doctor, we've given one slot to a bad guy who was only there once.
Our favorite one-time appearance.
Correct. The first Doctor, it was the Celestial Toymaker. For the second Doctor, which is the one we did last week, it was Salamander. For the third Doctor, we'd have to figure it out for the third Doctor.
Yes.
But for the fourth Doctor, probably going to be Sutekh. Really cool.
Third Doctor's Omega, by the way.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. Yeah. The third Doctor's is going to be Omega. All right, and the fourth Doctor's is going to be Sutekh. Thus far, we still have some more of the fourth Doctor to go. Anyway, so 4 episodes long, and it moves at a pretty good clip. At the very beginning, this professor
I actually really like the pacing of this one. It didn't feel too rushed.
Right. Suketh. Sutek. Okay, so this is the real bad guy. This guy was a Hanyak. Marcus wasn't really a bad guy.
He was possessed by the mind of...
Yeah. And the golems, and that's about it. All right. So there is an archaeologist who finds a pyramid in 1911, and he goes in the pyramid, and what was it called? Maraba. What was the name of that for the tomb inside the pyramid?
I don't know
it gets mentioned once.
His
in the third
geological
episode.
location was. It was in something.
Yeah, Maraba or Makaba or something.
I mean, you've been to Egypt.
I have been to Egypt. Yeah.
Between the two of us, you're the
Egyptologist.
the authority on Egyptology.
All right, but it's only two of us, so. All right.
Oh, hello. Thanks for joining us once again for this, the 82nd episode of the Drunk Doctor Who podcast, where we discuss the 82nd serial of Doctor Who.
All right. So anyway, stop gaslighting those people.
I say that every episode.
Well, yeah, but earlier. Okay, so
what did I gaslight earlier? The fact that I planned everything out.
Have you never seen the movie Gaslight?
No. If you Google Gaslight, it shows you like popularity of phrases throughout time. So when it was relevant, when the coal mines and when was gaslighting relevant? When people are actually getting gaslight fumes. Anyway, it was popular then to an extent where people actually use that medical term, and then it died off because gaslights died out. And then all of a sudden, a whole lot of literary cinema stuff started referencing it, and it just came back in a big way. And now more people today are using the term gaslight than back in the day when.
Right, but gaslighting today means to lie to someone so much they no longer believe the truth.
Right. I mean, that's what it meant then too, but it was like it's a mediary phrase, and then it died out in popularity, and all of a sudden it just shot up, and everyone and their mom is using the phrase gaslight.
But it comes from a movie called Gaslight, where these people convince this woman
would take the popularity of the phrase again.
But these people convince this woman by continuously telling her lies that the lies are the truth. The reason it's come back into popularity this century is because that's exactly what the media does. They repeat a lie over and over and over again, so a certain segment of the population believes that lie is the truth, even though it's an absolute lie.
The origin of a very popular phrase.
Anyway, believe it or not,
also the media is always lying too.
I have never seen that movie.
We're also always lying to you.
No,
I haven't seen the movie ever. I didn't know it was a movie.
It was a movie.
I just know that. Hey, we watched a movie last week. We watched.
Yeah, you got the
Grimm's.
Yeah, the Brothers Grimm. You got Heroes and Villains because we watched the Brothers Grimm. I showed it to him as we're working through Terry Gilliam, my favorite director.
I don't think we talked about Brothers Grimm during.
No, we want to keep it on the main
we talk
podcast.
About the movies on the main podcast.
Right. So we don't talk about it in the Heroes and Villains.
We watched Brothers Grimm.
Yeah, we'll talk about it after Doctor Who.
90% of a good movie. 95% of a good movie.
No, that's about accurate. 90% of a good movie. There are some parts that aren't so hot, but most of it's really good.
Little girl's face falls off. It's fun.
I'm the gingerbread man.
I saw that on TV when I was about 9 years old.
Oh yeah.
Terrifying. I was just flipping through channels. I'm like, what's this? This looks fun. This looks like Van Helsing or something.
No.
Girl has no eyes. It's like,
Oh my gosh. Alright. 4 episodes. The archaeologist goes into this pyramid and undisturbed tomb.
A lot of episodes start this way. Serials, a lot of serials start with
an archaeologist going into an... Okay. Alright.
Honestly.
There are harkenings back to some earlier stuff. Harkening. But I'll get back to that later, okay?
That's what you hunt whales with. Harpoons.
Harkonnens.
We still haven't seen the new Dune yet.
Not the new one.
You still haven't seen the new Dune?
You watch the new one. When did it come out?
A few weeks ago, a couple weeks. I think it came out in November.
No. Listen, I saw it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we saw it.
I gotta go see it. I'll watch it tonight, and then we can talk about it. Did you like it?
Yeah, it's about half of the other movie.
Oh.
So there's still like at least one more movie to go.
Oh, like they didn't. It sets it up.
They didn't get to the end where he confronts the Emperor.
Really, it feels like that's how the first one should have been, because they skip like 2 years and then they're like, by the way, they're in love now.
And he trains. And Alright, that's gonna be more than next week. Supposedly, for David Lynch's original Dune, there was a 5-hour cut only available on Korean Laserdisc.
I would like to see that.
Right. And I had a chance to pick it up once at a convention on VHS, copied off the Laserdisc. Didn't do it, or they were sold out or something. But it was just a big thing. Yeah? And occasionally you'll see a lot of scenes that are edited out, put back in when they showed on TV.
They include the deleted scenes.
Right, but they don't do that much anymore for that movie.
I've never seen that on TV.
Right, it used to be shown a lot in the 90s, but it's kind of fallen out of favor. Late 80s, early 90s. Okay, anyway. So the archaeologist goes into the tomb, ends up being confronted by...
He trips the house alarm.
Yeah, trips the house alarm. All of his helpers run away, you know.
Can you read my notes, sir?
What?
Is that legible?
Some of it. Alright. This part of it, no. I'll say the scribblings of a madman.
Probably.
Okay, so anyway.
No step asleep.
Marcus Scarman.
That says set servant.
Okay, Marcus Scarman goes in the tomb, ends up bumping into Sutek. Sutek kills him really quick. I mean, it's, a children's show. First death off the bat. Then...
Well, he was strangled, so I assume it was one of the golems.
No, he just kind of dies. His head explodes because Sutek kills him with mind power.
Oh. Mind power.
Yeah, there's mind power and pyramid power in this.
Pyramid power.
Alright,
I watched an interesting video on pyramids the other day.
Okay.
Made by aliens.
Okay.
Oddly, geographically, you scale it up, it's like perfect dimensions. Like, how did they do that way back then?
They had a better concept of math.
Man. Smart. The Egyptians were smart.
Exactly.
Smarter than I was.
Okay. When I chew ice, you can hear it on the video.
Oh.
Alright, so...
They can hear that on the video too.
So it cuts to the opening credits. We have a death before the opening credits.
People like to say if they traveled back in time, like they would be super successful because they'd have all this future technology or Knowledge, yeah. I think not. I think even a modern day mathematician would go back in time. Egyptians would be like, we don't need you.
I don't know if you go back that far in time. Most people want to go back in time 10 years and buy Google stock or whatever.
Oh yeah, that's the way to do it.
Microsoft or Apple or whatever.
Yeah. There's this one movie
Amazon.
with Whoopi Goldberg, and she gets transported back in time, and she pulls out her laptop and looks up the next solar eclipse so she can pretend to be a sorcerer. And the whole time I was just thinking, how does her laptop work? They don't have the internet.
What movie?
I don't remember the name of the movie. It had Whoopi Goldberg. She was about to be burned at the stake, and there's an eclipse, and she goes, and they go, kind of like the El Dorado scene.
I want to see that. That sounds like a good bad movie.
Whoopi Goldberg was also in that Sister in one movie I really liked. Whoopi Goldberg was in this really bad sci-fi movie with dinosaurs that it's kind of like a Jurassic Park, but the dinosaur talks.
I own it.
You own that movie?
Yes.
I don't remember the names to any of these movies.
Theodore Rex is the name of that movie. Theodore Rex.
I think the nun one is
Sister Act. Sister Act 2. Yeah.
I didn't see this. I don't remember that one where she goes back in time though.
No, she's been in some really bad movies.
Some really good bad movies.
And she's been on some really bad shows too, like The View, you know. All right. Anyway, so then we get the intro credits. Then we cut to the Doctor talking about how macabre it is to be a Time Lord, and it's I live for eternity, and he's got this whole gig going, and he's being all kind of depressing and stuff.
Very depressed.
Yeah.
So he mentions he's been alive for about 750 years.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is middle age for Time Lords.
Approaching middle age, yeah.
Approaching middle age. Which, I mean, he has the 500-year diary, which means he ran out of pages. He needs a new diary.
Yeah.
He needs another 500-year diary.
Don't worry. The Doctor eventually lives billions of years. It's crazy.
That doesn't make any sense.
Well, lives, dies, is reborn, or a clone of him is reborn with the energy of the death of
So
him.
is he saying that Tom Baker's regeneration was 750 years old? Because I know he has adventures off screen.
No. But yeah, no. The Doctor, we start with the Doctor when he's an old man, an old Time Lord, okay?
Yeah.
And
About 500 years.
we're guessing, but we don't know exactly the length of time in between all that, because the Doctor's having adventures, but he also has adventures that we don't see at times. Although not last season. Last season was boom, 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 boom. And so Tom Baker's saying he's about 750 years old. Now, there eventually is a discrepancy between the old stuff and the new stuff. But in fandom, that's because Gallifrey gets destroyed. And he no longer goes by Gallifreyan years, he goes by Earth years. So when he gets a little younger, it's because of the discrepancy in the time on the years. Starts counting by Earth years instead.
I like how whenever there's like a plot hole in like Star Wars, the fans are always there to go, oh, that's an auto translation. They're speaking alien languages.
But anyway, so he's just a little macabre. Oh, and Sarah Jane shows up in a dress, a Victorian era dress that was Victoria's.
Victorian.
All right, and which is great because they end up in 1911. So she ends up fitting more the part of 1911 than her modern clothes would have been.
It kind of triggered the Doctor's reminiscing and his depression and the fact that he, I'm guessing, missed his previous companions.
Where I was like, that's great, Victoria. Or Vicky. No, it's great, Vicky.
Victoria.
No, I think it was Victoria. That's great, Victoria. And so then, the TARDIS has a malfunction, and they lose a particular circuit.
No.
Yeah. And
Well, it was an interference because of a...
Right, this donkey head mask appears. This head just appears inside the TARDIS. And it's a bit of a long, elongated donkey head. And
Horse face.
right, and Sarah Jane sees it, but it's behind the Doctor, so he doesn't see it. And she's like, I saw this. He's like, what? Because he's paying attention to the console exploding and giving off smoke. And he's like, it's impossible for anything to break through the TARDIS.
Which is weird that he says that because that's happened at least twice or 3 times.
What?
People break into the TARDIS. Sensorites, well, I guess they didn't break into
They didn't break into the TARDIS.
People broken into the... I'm sure it's happened.
No, the only thing we've seen...
They're always hijacking it.
No, the only thing we've seen get into the TARDIS previously was condensation from Marco Polo. Remember that?
Yeah. I mean, things condensate on the inside.
Right, that's the only thing we've ever seen get into the TARDIS previously.
Like if you had an air conditioner in outer space, that would condensate.
Now, eventually a Kerblam man will show up in the TARDIS. But it was invited in, essentially.
I'm sure things have showed up in the TARDIS before. The Mind Robber had influence of them while they're... A lot of
The
things...
TARDIS screens. The TARDIS screens.
Well, it affected... Their minds have been affected multiple times while still in the TARDIS.
Correct.
Yeah.
But nothing
Which
has actually gotten in. That projection, you know?
Well, yeah, that was still in their mind, though. That wasn't a physical thing in the TARDIS. It was
Correct,
like a
correct. I think
mental
she
projection.
saw the actual projection in the
Yeah.
TARDIS.
But I mean, there's been plenty of mind things. And
Yeah, right, but not an
penetrate
actual
through the-
physical projection.
Right, yeah. Which, I mean, still hasn't.
Well, no, it happened here.
Well, that wasn't a physical.
No, it was a physical.
It was a mental thing
No, she saw it there physically.
in her mind.
Okay, we can debate that forever. All right. Anyway, so whether or not she saw it, or whether it was whether she saw it as a physical emanation, apparition, or whether it was in her mind, I don't know why it would have been in her mind. She saw the face of
Set
Sutek. All right.
Satan.
Yeah, Satan. He's gone by many names. So the Doctor ends up landing.
Magic the Gathering one.
What?
The Magic the Gathering. Greek mythology.
No, this is Egyptian.
I was just saying the other names he goes by.
Okay. So anyway, the Doctor lands.
That sounded like a $4 or $5 card now.
What, Set?
No, the Black White God from Theros.
I don't remember the name of that god.
Me either.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The Doctor lands, and he's in a room full of sarcophagi and other Egyptian things. This is 1911 when the Brits are stealing a whole bunch of stuff from Egypt because they're in control of Egypt. It's a protectorate of theirs.
I think the plural is sarcophages.
No, sarcophagi. It's sarcophagus, sarcophagi, like cactus and cacti.
I think it's a sarcophages.
No. All right.
Sarcophages.
So you land in a room with this stuff. In the meantime, there's a guy with a fez, olive-colored skin, a bit more dark, and he's playing.
No, he's super white. He's obviously a white guy. He's not at all Middle Eastern.
I said olive skin, and he's Middle Eastern, and he's playing an organ.
Well, the organ's playing itself.
Eventually, yeah.
I play mine like this.
Anyway, so this guy is Abraham.
Ibrahim
Namin.
But the first time he introduces himself as Rahim, and then later it's Ibrahim. I mean,
Well, Brahim's probably a short
Brahim.
version.
Yeah.
Joe instead of Joseph.
Yeah.
Yeah, John instead of Jonathan.
what's Hatter short for? Hatterstifer.
Shatter?
I like that. That's good.
Alright, anyways.
That's short for Hodavai.
Alright. Oh my god. that's
Mine's
so
short for
good.
holding my gut.
Holding my gut. Alright. So anyway, this guy's playing on the organ. Okay, while he's doing that, his servant runs in, and his servant's like, hey, there's a gentleman here to see you. And the guy flips out. He's wearing a fez, really cool. Fezzes are cool. And the guy,
You know what this stands for? The servant's name was Collins. And Ibrahim said, I shall not be interrupted.
right, he says, well, there's a
He
gentleman
insisted.
here to see you, and he insisted. He broke in.
It was Dr. Warlock.
Warlock, yeah, Dr.
It's
Warlock.
just a weird last name.
Well, it
And
happens.
Ibrahim really struggled to say it. He said Warlock.
Right. So anyway,
What do you think that was? I don't think it's because English is his second language. I think he knows the implications of the title Warlock, and then
maybe, but English
seems like-
is probably a second language.
it seemed like he just didn't want to call it that.
I mean, he speaks much better than Egyptian.
He speaks really good. He speaks Egyptian. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
He speaks really good English, but every time he said Warlock, he was like
Well,
it said with hesitant.
if something is your
disdain.
second language, you're going to have a harder time speaking it,
See,
generally speaking.
I don't think he was having a hard time speaking. I think he just didn't like the implications of this guy being a warlock.
Alright. Anyway, so the guy interrupts him, and then the Doctor and Sarah Jane are trying to get out of this area with all this Egyptian stuff.
If you could be anything, what would you be? I'd be a level 2 warlock.
Wait, what level 2?
An even more powerful warlock.
I want to be a level 20 warlock.
I mean, Where are you gonna find one of those? I think level 2's good enough. I think I'm gonna run into many level 20s.
I want more than 8 hit points, you know. Alright. So the Doctor and Sarah Jane are trying to get out of this room. Out of this wing of the house with all the Egyptian stuff.
You just know that off the top of your head?
You know what?
The hit points of a level 2 warlock. Can I ask you some D&D quizzes?
No.
How many spell slots does a level 5 fighter have?
None. He's a fighter.
This is a good answer.
Doesn't get spell slots. He gets extra.
If I were to make a sorcerer with a high charisma and low intellect score, how would that character work out for me?
I'll tell you in a couple weeks. I just made a sorcerer with a high charisma and a low intellect score.
It's a character
Oddly
I've
enough.
been wanting to play forever.
No, oddly enough, we played once on Thursday.
It makes sense because like sorcerers are supposed to be naturally gifted with magic, so they don't have to be that intelligent. And then like wizards are the ones that gain magic through like study and intellect.
Right.
I thought that would be a really fun character to play, just like this total jock who just happens to be really talented.
No. I'm playing him like
Just a very
no. Have you seen
paternity guy.
Have you seen Blackadder?
Yeah.
All right. You remember Captain Trueheart or whatever his name was?
Is that the one played by
Rick Mail.
What?
Rick Mail. All right. You remember the episode where Blackadder was going to get married? And this guy comes in, steals the bride, and they run off together?
Yeah.
That's Rick Mail. I'm playing my sorcerer like that. It's like, aha, I cannot be defeated. Aha, yes. No one has ever come between me and a woman. Ah. It's so funny, and that's how I'm playing this character.
Huzzah! How did you do that? I have no idea. That's the character I wanted to make.
But I'm playing him. I think it's Trueheart or Lionheart or Fireheart, whatever his character, whatever that name is for Rick Mail in that episode. But I'm playing my sorcerer, Bob Greenleaf III, or the notorious BG3 for short, as that Rick Mail's character in that. And he's dressed just like it. It's fantastic.
That's
fantastic. He looks like Brad Pitt in Fight Club.
Of course he does.
Yeah, of course. He's got a charisma of 20. 20, yeah.
High charisma.
Yeah, I mean, maximum charisma. He's a
It's
half
like
elf.
a bard, but a sorcerer.
Right, but a sorcerer. And he's like, ah.
Let me know how that works out for you.
My last character, Bob Greenleaf II, or Bob Greenleaf Jr., was didn't speak much, very sedate. This character is so over the top. I love it.
I like that. What's the maximum level?
Max
Just
level?
scales infinitely. D&D. There's no max level.
20.
20 is the max level.
Right. In some editions of D&D, they've written books for epic levels which go to 30, like 3.5. But realistically, you should never get above 20.
So dragons are only level 20?
Well, okay. Creatures can be a higher level. But it gets to a point in D&D where you hit a certain point and you're just rolling who misses their saving throw first. Because I hit you, you make your saving throw, you take no damage. You hit me, I make my saving throw, I take no damage. And then when somebody misses their saving throw, they die. It gets to a power level that's just crazy. You know, like one hit man or one pinch man or whatever that guy is. It just gets to some stupid level at some point. So the sweet spot in D&D is 5 to 15. That's the real sweet spot. Below level 5, you're still fighting house cats and kobolds. Above level 15, you're getting close to a god, you know?
So that's like the end of campaigns?
Level 20, yeah. 15 to 20, somewhere in there, yeah.
So these campaigns have been going on for years and years and years. How do they keep those going? Do they reset levels?
Okay, oddly enough, not normally. In our case, kind of yes.
Reset levels?
Well, we did because we're taking an alternate timeline from the previous campaign.
So new campaign, same characters.
No, nobody took the same characters. Okay. We could have taken the same characters. Nobody did. My character is the son of my previous character. So Bob Greenleaf, the junior Bob Greenleaf, third. Yeah.
Okay. Welcome to our D&D podcast. Thank you for joining us.
Doctor Who podcast. Okay, so
the butler walks in.
The butler walks in. Dr. Warlock comes in. Dr. Warlock grills the Egyptian. In the meantime,
because Scarman is missing.
Well, yeah, because Marcus Scarman is missing, and he is a really close friend of Dr. Warlock. They were childhood friends all the way up, really close. But
you're on top of it.
He's discovered that Marcus Scarman, Dr. Marcus Scarman, has never not picked up his luggage in Cairo. Basically, he's dead. He's missing.
Yes, I inquired.
Yeah, I inquired with Cairo. So,
what happens when I don't pick up my luggage in Vegas?
You're picking up your luggage in Vegas.
You ever wonder who would look for you when you go missing? Like, you're married. You don't have to wonder that.
Yeah, my wife.
I could be gone for like 3 weeks, and Levi would be like, "Where's Holden?" I wonder.
I don't think so.
Well, I mean, like, it takes 3 days to die of dehydration.
I think if you missed a Monday, I'd be looking for you.
Oh, that's it. That's nice.
All right. So the doctor and Sarah Jane are trying to get out of that area. The butler finds them, and the doctor realizes that he was trying to land at Unit, and he didn't. He did, but he didn't land the right time.
1911.
Right, 1911 instead of 1980.
And a parish that burned down.
Right. And this was the house that was where Unit's headquarters is built later. This house had burned down at the Priory.
I wouldn't call it headquarters. That's like a forwarding base.
No, for Units, they're Unit headquarters.
I mean, they're like a military branch. That's
right.
Headquarters isn't a priory.
No. It's built on where the Priory was before it burned. The Priory burned down, and then afterwards, the Unit headquarters is built there.
A little house, the Priory.
No. Okay.
Do you know the difference between a pie and a cobbler?
Pie has a proper crust on top.
It's one of them fixes shoes. Cobblers.
Oh my gosh. Alright.
So the Priory burns down.
The Priory had burned down and it made Unit. Anyway, so they're in the Priory from where, and it's this gorgeous, huge
I wrote down
manor.
a question. Is this episode modern day or back in time? It's 1911, so it's back in time.
Back then. Alright, so anyway, so the butler tells him that the Egyptian has shown up and he's got a bad temper, to stay away from him, and because the Egyptian thinks that the doctor and Sarah Jane are with Dr. Warlock.
Yes.
So the doctor and Sarah Jane said they came in through the window, so they leave through the window. And the doctor does a good duck walk, getting past...
ducking under the window.
Ducking under the everything.
It's like...
Groucho Marx.
Mooney, when he's running through the hallway and he stops to walk in front of the glass door and Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Ah, yeah, good comparison. Or the Marx Brothers, yeah.
The Marx Brothers.
Anyway, so...
Duck Soup.
Duck Soup.
Duck Soup.
So, the doctor and Sarah Jane leave and they walk under all the windows and everything. In the meantime, this mummy... Huh?
Some seltzer.
No, I'm good. I'm not gonna flame.
Mix.
You drink your seltzer. This mummy comes out of a sarcophagus and strangles the butler. Kills him. So we've got our second death, first episode.
Do you know what's under the mummy wrappings? It's chicken wire.
Chicken wire and a copper skeleton. Yeah, we find that out. We find that out later.
It doesn't make any sense.
All right. So anyway,
these robots don't make any sense.
So they hear the scream of the butler dying.
Shotwell?
Huh?
Oh, the butler.
The butler.
Not
So-
the chocolate.
Not who?
Scream of the chocolate.
Well, that's later.
Oh.
So here the scream of the butler dying. So Ibrahim.
Is that your shoulder that's popping?
That was my
You pop your elbow?
Yeah, I can
Oh,
pop
I did it. I don't know, you can do that.
it. You can. You can pop anything.
Anything?
Pretty much.
Boom.
Hmm?
Chiropractors are hacks, man. Doesn't it just make you angry sometimes when they're talking about adjusting vertebrae? And it's like, you can't, they don't. Quacks. Tell me I'm wrong.
Never been to a chiropractor. I just do it all myself.
Good, you don't need to.
Okay. All right. So Ibrahim and
Ibrahim.
what's his name?
The butler?
No.
Warlock?
Warlock. Go to run and see the butler who's dead, and Warlock's like, wait a minute, he's killed, and he stands up, and Ibrahim is pointing a pistol at him and goes, you should have left when I told you.
You know too much.
You know too much.
Mr. Bond.
And he's about to shoot him dead, and the doctor, who had, Sarah Jane, who had come around from the front entrance, uses a scarf to pull back on Ibrahim.
Which doesn't make any sense because here's Abraham, right? So he has the gun, bent at the elbow, forearms, biceps totally relaxed, guns folded, at the bent elbow. So the doctor says, I'll stop him from shooting that guy by putting a scarf around his shoulders, which is not at all isolating the weapon in his hand.
Correct. Well, the doctor did what he could in the circumstance.
I mean,
he deflected the bullet.
what's the
a bit.
number one? He knows Venusian Kung Fu. What's the number one thing they teach you? Isolate the weapon.
I don't know that's necessarily Venusian Kung Fu does that.
Well, that's every fighting style is isolate
not
the weapon.
not every. Yeah.
Isolate the weapon.
Some fighting styles are to kill, but
I mean, if the gun's pointed at you, which is gonna be faster than a bullet.
so the doctor,
Maybe Superman's fighting style.
Batman.
Every fighting style should be isolate the weapon.
All right.
So,
Welcome to the least watched show on the internet. All right.
Almost. No.
So
I think we're in we gotta be up there statistically.
no.
I mean, okay. Think about they're a substrata of highly successful YouTube channels that have millions of views and subscribers, and then below that you have the 10% that are they have 100 subscribers, thousands of views, and then you just have a swath of 90% of all YouTube channels that post a handful of YouTube videos just to have fun, just to play around. With our consistency, I say we gotta be top 11% of all YouTubers.
No, you could
Because no one else.
You could theorize we're maybe in the top 50%, but not top 11.
I'd say at least 20%.
No, there's a lot of YouTube channels.
Of all
out
the
there.
channels, I mean,
No, there's a lot of channels.
every
There's a lot
single
more views.
YouTuber account, which is linked to Google accounts, they have a YouTube channel. I mean, I'm talking about just the ones that post videos. We gotta be top 30 at least.
No.
Because we've been doing with this for 3 years? We're over 1,000 views.
We're at 3.5 years, yeah.
The people that have over 1,000 views is 30% of people
Wait,
that
we
post
don't have
the
1,000 views per video. We have
No, total. Over
our
1,000
highest
views
video is
total.
maybe 100 views. That's the one I did on myself, the history of Doctor Who.
Amongst all people that have posted at least one video, having 1,000 views puts us in top 30%.
I don't know.
It's gotta
YouTube,
be.
let us know. Where are
I'll
we in
look
the
it up.
hierarchy? I doubt it's much, but okay. We get maybe 6 views per video on average.
4, not including us.
So true. All right, so the doctor saves Warlock. The doctor, Sarah Jane, and Warlock managed to escape, although Warlock was shot. but not on his heart. He was shot on the right breast.
Chest, yeah.
So the doctor and Sarah Jane are helping him out, and
He's dying.
they're
Blood
basically
poisoning.
carrying him. He's kind of bleeding out, but not. If they can suture the wound, they'll be good. So they're trying to get to the lodge.
Because the doctor did not isolate the weapon.
Right. In the meantime, Ibrahim gets up and decides not to chase after them because he now has his golems, the mummy-looking golems.
Comes out of the sarcophagus.
Right, so he opens up the sarcophagus and he activates a golem with this big, giant garnet ring.
Green. Emerald? It was green.
Emerald is green, but it's
Kinda
too
like,
big to be an emerald. Looks more like a
Kind of like
garnet or
Seth's
something.
eyes were emeralds.
Right. He activates the golem.
That's my favorite color. Yours too?
Green, yeah.
Green, yeah.
Right.
Good color.
And so the
so
he
many
gets
people's, the most common favorite color among men is red.
red.
Yeah.
Women is blue, I think, or yellow.
So, boys, it's red. Girls is pink. Adults, it's blue. Women, it's also blue.
Yeah, I don't know.
Green's like the best color though.
Yeah.
I mean specific greens, like deep emerald green. Like the average green, it's hard to come across a good green.
No,
Like you
it's
see
not.
your average green, look at that green on the ERCOT picture. Yeah,
That's a bit of a lime green.
That's a myth. Yeah, lime green, gross. Emerald green, oh, that's red. Whoa. It has to
Emerald
be-
green, forest green.
Forest green's nice.
Yeah.
It's calming. It's got to be like an LED green, like the mask. That's a good green.
Illumination mask.
Bad green.
Yeah.
Illusion mask, good green. Deep, green. Not necessarily dark, but like vibrant green.
Vibrant,
Yeah.
life-giving. All right. Anyway, so
I'm a druid. I'm gonna go hug a tree.
oh,
We live in West Texas where there is no green.
there's green. It's mostly water balloons.
I would move to East Texas if they had any good internet service amongst all those trees.
Well, you just
go
go
to
into
East
the
Texas.
city.
You go to East Texas, you're like, man, it's beautiful. I have no cell phone reception, but it's beautiful.
No, you just have to go to the cities.
But then there's no trees.
No,
Might as
some
well
of the
stay
cities
here.
have trees. Like we have trees.
We have weeds. We have.
No, we have trees.
We have. What are they?
I've got like 5 trees in my yard. The giant evergreen, the 2 out back, the others up front.
It's East Texas. It's dirt. Our national, our state flowers traffic cone.
No. You know where a state flower is?
Bluebonnet.
Yeah.
But it's really a traffic cone if you think about it. Might as well be.
Alright.
So the mummies come out.
We're on the first episode. You know that, right? Okay.
You skip the recap.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So the bad guy Ibrahim goes in. He gets the golems. They go into the main room. He's playing on the organ. The golems are like, oh. And eventually he gets the sarcophagus with the blue. This thing right here. He gets that to show up and perform some sort of 1970s light show, and
Honestly, it's a
yeah, and something comes through, and he's like, oh, Sutek. Oh, I'm a servant of Sutek. My family, since the beginning, last several thousand years, are servants of Sutek.
Herein lies one of my favorite writing for villains of all time.
So good.
So the servant of Sutek steps out and he goes, "Do I look like Sutek?"
Right, look at me. No, I can't look on
Is this
Sutek.
the face of Sutek? And he says, he's like, "Have mercy on me, master." And he's like, I serve Sutek, and he
No.
comes out of the portal he's just stepping and evaporating the carpet, just like
Right. The flames, the smoke's coming up. Yeah.
Heat, and he's stepping, and the carpet's evaporating, and he's draped in this like leathery owl-faced mask and purple temporal futuristic art. He steps out, and Ibrahim's begging for his life. He's like, "I serve Sutekh," and the servant places his hands on his shoulder. He's like, "There's only." I am the servant of Sutekh.
He needs no other.
He needs no. That's such a good line.
And he starts killing the guy.
He's like he's baking his.
So smoke coming out of him, and he kills Ibrahim Namin.
So we have one of the greatest entrances of a villain of all time,
killing another villain,
and then he turns into Marcus Scarman, and then it's like the cool costume disappears, and then his it is so cool, and he had such a great costume.
Right, but he needs to look like Marcus Scarman.
You went to like the level of cool, and then it's just a regular person with red eyes.
So we had like our fourth death in the first episode.
He was so cool.
Children's show.
And he just turned into a regular person. I would say the servant of Sutekh was way cool. Was a way cooler character design than the actual Sutekh villain. Like he had
no. The Sutekh villain was awesome.
He was great, but the servant of just the entrance, like presentation wise, it was so cool. He just evaporates the carpet and he's walking out.
Yeah, I'm going to the restroom.
Okay.
Episode 2.
So that's the end of
We're like
episode
45 minutes into this. That took longer than the actual episode. You realize that?
Well,
episode 2.
If you want to distract me so much.
No.
You're over here talking about D&D.
Oh my god.
So the end of episode 1 ends with the servant of Sutekh giving poor Namin a throat hug. A lot of heat, and man, it was such a cool effect when he'd walk and like steam would come out of his feet. I don't know what they used or how they. It was really cool. Like it was like a fog machine was built into his boots, and it's like, how did they do that? How did they do that? And like the footprints were like burned into the carpet. It's a really cool effect. Like high budget. Anyway, episode 2. Oh man, what happens in episode 2? So that happened. Okay, so the servant of Sutekh takes on the corporeal form of Professor Marcus Scarman, and he starts giving orders to these mummified golems, the robots with the mummified wrappings. They call them servers or servos or something. So he's like, we have Sutekh in his pyramid talking through the portal, and he's sending through these little urns. There's like 4 urns, and Dr. Scarman takes them, and he gives them to the servants, and he says, set these up on the 4 corners of the compass to create a barrier around this parish that so no one can affect our plans. They're building a rocket to shoot up into space to destroy the pyramid that's on Mars, which is entrapping Sutekh on Earth in that pyramid. It's confusing. Anyway, so there's this is when we're introduced to the poacher character. He's this guy who's hunting bunny rabbits. He has a gun and a satchel and a little log cabin somewhere. Anyway, he's running around. He picks up the rabbit and he runs into these golems that are setting up these urns, which are creating this barrier. And one of the golems steps into a bear trap, and it steps close on his foot. And the golem's just like struggling with it because they're these very stiff robotic things. he's prying this rabbit trap off his foot, and the poacher's going like, what on earth am I looking at? He books it, obviously, and he runs smack dab into the barrier, this force field, this invisible force field, and he goes, what the heck? Meanwhile, we cut back to the doctor, Sarah Jane Smith, and Dr. Warlock, who have been shot right in the chest area. They also run into Dr. Marcus Scarman's brother, Lawrence Scarman, who's working on this radio receiver in 1911, so like 40 years before the first radio receiver thing was actually invented commercially or whatever. So he's working on this radio receiver, and the doctor and Sarah Jane Smith come in, and they're they put the Warlock's arm in a sleeve, and he falls asleep on the couch, and they're talking to Lawrence Scarman, Marcus's brother, about his little machine here, and so the doctor's talking about gobbledygook, and Lawrence is like, "What are you talking about, time travelers?" And he turns to Sarah Jane Smith like, "Oh, you're gonna talk reason, right?" And she's like, "Yeah, we're from the future." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And then the doctor ends up convincing him that they are travelers from the future because he knows everything about radio receivers and this machine that he's built before it was actually made.
The telescope transceiver and stuff.
Yeah. So the doctor's having an intellectual conversation with this other scientist, and he's like, "Well, show me how it works." And then what happens is it overloads because there's this repeating signal that comes
from
through,
Mars,
and the light bulb explodes. And then the doctor pulls out his little portable handheld radio receiver, and he goes like, "Oh, it's the same thing, but portable." And that's when Lawrence
less cumbersome.
That's when Lawrence realizes, "Oh, I think these guys are actually from the future." So he's like, "Yeah, it's like a repeating SOS signal, and is coming from Mars." What?
But the doctor translates it, and it's basically saying, "Beware of Sutekh. Beware of Sutekh."
So same thing Butler said.
Exactly. Okay, so
that's when the golems walk in the cabin, right?
Not quite yet. No, we get the poacher first.
We talked about the poacher, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And the golem that stepped in the bear trap, and the poacher walked into the bear.
Yep.
So we're introduced to a lot of characters. Spoiler: they all die.
Pretty much everyone dies.
Every single character dies, except for the doctor and his companion.
Wait, I'm trying to think of any of the
literally all of them are.
Wait, does every single other person die?
Every single character introduced in the serial dies.
This happens later on as well.
Sutekh dies, Servant of Sutekh dies, Professor Scarman, the Butler Collins, Dr. Warlock, Ibrahim, Lawrence Scarman, the Poacher.
I did not realize this upon watching.
We have 7 characters, they're all dead.
Everyone dies except the doctor and his companion. This does happen later on. It's one of the reasons that the show is considered not a children's show and eventually becomes a family show, which means it was shown past a certain watershed mark.
Struggling, strangling, screaming. Someone gets decapitated by being squeezed. His head is popped like a pimple between the chest of 2 columns. Horrific.
That's the poacher.
The poacher. Horrific. We never even knew his name.
Gosh, it's true.
So graphic. And that happens because there are no witnesses to what happened. The parish burns down, and no one knows the story of what happened there.
Right. So anyway, your turn?
Yes.
Okay. So the mummy robots come into the lodge, and they come in the lodge, and they're being fought off by the doctor, Sarah Jane Smith, and Lawrence Scarman, and Lawrence is kind of shunted aside. The doctor kind of gets knocked down, and one's about to choke Sarah Jane Smith to death, and that's where the episode ends. Episode 3, Sarah Jane Smith's about being choked to death, and she gets thrust aside, and the doctor's like, "Use the ring we got from the corpse of the Egyptian." She grabs the ring, and the doctor's like, "Tell him to go back to Central Command." And she says, "Go back to Central Command." So the robots all go back to Central Command. They managed to disable one of them before that happened, and in the meantime, so the doctor's like, "Well, This is really dangerous. I need to figure out how to defeat them. I don't know how. And Lawrence says, well, wait, what about the nitroglyceride? I think it's the right term. Or glycerine or something like that. That the poacher had in his hut on the other side. They're just like, that'd be a great idea. Blow up the rocket so the rocket can't hit the pyramid on Mars, the force of which, the electronics of which, are keeping Sutekh imprisoned in the Eye of Horus on Earth. And so the doctor says, well, stay here. And he says, well, you don't trust me? No, stay here, unwrap that mummy robot if you want. So the doctor and Sarah Jane Smith go out and try to get the nitroglyceride or whatever it is. They eventually get through the barrier by dismantling one of the 4 pieces. So there were 4 pieces setting up the barrier, and they were in Coptic jars. What look like Coptic jars. If you don't know what a Coptic jar is, it's a jar placed with a mummy, which holds some of the mummy's organs, or they take it out of the mummy's body. So these look like Coptic jars. They're a little bit bigger, but they have these transducers, these transmitters, that help establish the perimeter, the force field that kept people in or out of this area. Anyway, look up Coptic jars. They're fascinating. Anyway, so the doctor manages to find one of the Coptic jars, the one on the east side. And with the help of Sarah Jane Smith holding the jar so it doesn't fall, he uses the sonic screwdriver to disable it. And he takes the transducer out of it, puts it in his pocket, this pocket, and says just in case. So then they get out, they find the hut, and they get the nitroglyceride. In the meantime, Sutekh has figured out, well, wait, the east side is down, go after him. Doctor and Sarah Jane get back to the lodge. Before that, Marcus, well, the servant of Sutekh, who looks like Marcus, has made it to the lodge, and he kills his brother Lawrence. Lawrence tries to convince him that he's not the servant of Sutekh, whose mind is being controlled by Sutekh. Says, no, you're my brother. And for just a brief moment, it looks like he might turn human again, but no, he brushes it off. And he is still servant of Sutekh, inhabiting Dr. Marcus Scarman's body with, jaundice. Looks really ill. So by the time the doctor and Sarah Jane Smith get back, unfortunately, Lawrence Scarman's body his carcass is there, and they find it. The doctor's like, well, Sarah Jane, we don't have much time. Wrap me up in this mummy outfit. I will look like one of the robots. So Sarah Jane does. He looks like one of with the help of the skeletal bits, looks like one of the robots helping Sutekh. So he says, all right, Sarah Jane, grab the rifle. I will place the nitroglycerin, whatever it is, nitroglycic. I'll place it on the head of the rocket. You shoot it, blow it up once I'm clear. So Doctor and Sarah Jane go there. The doctor places the nitroglycerin on the ramp at the head of the rocket. He's going to leave, and the servant of Sutekh's like, hey, you stop. Doctor almost stops, doesn't stop. He says, stop. Is there something wrong with your transmitter? And he says, hey, place us over here. We're good. Doctor does that. He leaves, and the doctor leaves. Sarah Jane shoots the rifle, hits the target, And the doctor's like, "You sure you know what I'm doing?" She says, "Yeah, I'm sure I know what I'm doing." Hits the target starts to explode, but it doesn't. The explosion is being contained. And she says, "I'm sure I hit it." And the doctor's like, "Well, you did. Target's being contained mentally by Sutekh. We have to stop him. We have to distract him so the explosion will go off so that we can destroy the rocket that will free him by destroying the pyramid on Mars, which is the force field holding him in abeyance." So the doctor and Sergei go into the Pyre. He's out of his outfit now as a mummified robot thing. And the guy who is the servant of Sutekh is there talking in front of the sarcophagi that is the transmitter between the two places. And he's like, "Lord, we will track these people down, we will kill them." And Sutekh's like, "Well, we can do that, except we need to launch the rocket. And I can't hold this in place very long. It's taking all my mental energy to do this." So that guy leaves, and the doctor in the meantime had snuck behind a curtain in that room. So then he goes up, and he decides to go in, and he goes through the transmat beam to wherever Sutekh is, which is under a pyramid in Egypt, in the Eye of Horus being held there. So the doctor goes in and he goes, "Hey Sutekh, last of the Orions." Sutekh looks at him, and his concentration is broken, and the missile explodes. Good. So he's not going to break free that way. And then Sutekh goes, "I will destroy you." And the doctor's like, "Well, that's all you can do now, so just go and destroy me. You have no other power left." And Sutekh blears into his mind with mental force, mental energy, and the doctor kind of goes down on his knees. End of episode 3. Episode 4, doctor's going down on his knees from Sutekh. Sutekh is sitting rigidly in a throne-like chair like this. Apparently he's been stuck there like that for thousands of years.
He's paralyzed. Yeah.
Episode 4, beginning of episode 4.
Oh, well, you've been productive.
Thank you.
I got a little distracted.
I mean, that helps when, we're not discussing random stuff. Alright, so...
Speaking of which...
No. Alright, so Sutekh's like, "Well, I will destroy you, Doctor.
I did
And
have a
who
question.
are you?" And he kneel. He forces the doctor to kneel, and he's like, "Bow before me."
I shall eviscerate your nervous system.
Into 2,000 separate parts, yeah.
Which is highly motivating.
Yeah. So Sutekh is controlling everything with his mind. Apparently he can't move.
Let's talk about the cobra thing on his face mask.
Well, no, it's an ancient Egyptian thing.
He's wearing a helmet and has a cobra on it.
Right, kind of like
Eyes.
Omega, Kind of like Omega, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I treat that correlation as well.
So...
And just like Omega is like... He was containing the explosion just by the power of the will of his mind.
From 1,500 miles away or so, Yeah.
Means he's not as powerful as Omega, who literally can Okay. Omega's cooler.
They're both really cool. Alright.
I think in a fight, Omega would win, though, right?
Well, unless you had any matter in that antimatter. Or point out to me it didn't exist any longer.
But like the force of his will, as he teleports people to his antimatter universe, he turns them into antimatter. This is only because the flute was in the
The recorder.
The recorder was in the transponder beam.
Field, yeah. Alright, so the doctor's like, well, you can't control me, and Omega, oh no, sorry, not Omega. Sutek offers him everything. I will give you an empire. I will give you this world to rule. I will give you everything. Doctor's like, no. Sutek's like, well, then fine, I will destroy you. At that point, Sutek's servant with the golems show up on the video cam with Sarah Jane Smith in a Victorian outfit. And we're like, we found
He
this.
doesn't offer him anything until
Well, a little bit later, yeah.
he's in the portal.
Well, no. He offers him more beforehand. Then he offers him more later.
At first, it's just the power of persuasion of torture, and
Right.
he doesn't offer a partnership.
No, he does offer him an empire at that point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You work with me and I will give you an empire, you know. So then they show up with Sarah Jane.
He is Satan.
In which they literally throw Sarah Jane on the floor, the golems do. And the doctor's like, no, don't kill her. And so Sutek's like, okay, don't kill her. She may come in handy. And then Sutek goes, you control the TARDIS. You can travel in time and space. He takes the key off the doctor's neck. The key that Pertwee designed. And it floats to Sutek, and then it floats out through the portal out to Sutek's servant. Mm-hmm. And Sutek says, take this key, take the doctor, I'm controlling his mind, and take Sarah Jane. If the doctor resists in any way, kill Sarah Jane. And he controls the doctor stands up, he's like, zombie-esque fashion. He goes through the portal. Sutek's still stuck.
I think it was one of the first ever successful mind controllings of the Doctor.
Well, we don't know if he was absolutely mind controlled or if he held part of himself in abeyance against the mind control, and that's how he survived. So we don't know.
Coming through the portal, the servant of Sutek. Sutek was very steamy, smoky, very hot, burned up the carpet. And then the Sutek sent the coordinates of the Mars pyramid through the portal, and that was real steamy and hot, and smoke was coming off of it. Yep. But then the TARDIS necklace comes through, and the Doctor comes through, and they're not smoky and steamy.
And Time Lords.
And the necklace too.
Well, yeah, part of Time Lord technology. Mm-hmm. So that comes through, and the servant of Sutek, he's like, hey, Doctor, who do you serve? And I was like, Sutek. His eyes are rolled up in the back of his head. It's like, who do you worship above all of this? Sutek. And we do not know if the Doctor was completely under his control. We don't know if he held part of himself in abeyance. We don't know if he was just acting. We don't know. But he acts that way. And Sarah Jane, one golem, the servant of Sutek, and the Doctor go in the TARDIS, and they go to Mars, to the Pyramid of Mars, and they're going to try to destroy the Eye of Horus.
The eye? The heart? The eye?
The Eye of Horus, so that the Sutek is freed.
I had a fork give me an eye once.
So they all get out of the TARDIS, and the servant of Sutek, who looks like Marcus Scarman, says, well, there's no need for the Time Lord now, and kill him. So the golem chokes the Doctor out.
Doctor dies.
Well, Doctor falls down, yep. Looks like he's dead.
He's dead.
Servant of Sutek and the golem go down the corridor, leaving Sarah Jane with the corpse of the Doctor. Turns out the Doctor's not dead; he's still alive.
Which marks about the 7th time Sarah Jane Smith has wept over the not dead corpse of the Doctor.
And the Doctor's like, "You're getting my shirt wet," He taps her. She freaks out. All right. So the next series is a series of puzzles as you go through trying to get to the heart of the Pyramid of Mars. and it reminded me of the puzzles in the second Doctor serial, where they're trying to get to the heart of the city with the mutant. Remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah.
And they had the people on their tail, and
Yeah. So
this is the reverse, where the Doctor's on the tail of the other person.
right, but that's the exact reverse of the other one. So they go into these,
and then they jumped over the electric field, and the Doctor's rolled right over.
right. So I mean, this trope has been used before, where you go through a series of puzzles in Doctor Who, except this time the Doctor's on the tail end and not in the front. But this long series of puzzles. How do you figure it out?
They walked in the temple. What was the first puzzle in the mutants? It was something real simple. It was like it was
a maze. It was
a maze.
You go through the maze with your finger and all.
Yeah, and there's a dead person there, meaning that
several.
They couldn't solve the first puzzle.
Exactly.
Which is really sad. The mutants, they didn't have a high
Right.
IQ.
This is a series of puzzles like that, which we've seen in Doctor Who before. And one of them was the classic, he'll tell the truth, he'll lie. Which one
If
do
I
you
were
choose?
to ask
The other guy, what would you do?
What would he say?
And that showed up in Labyrinth, and it showed up several times in D&D and other places.
Very popular riddle.
Yeah, it is. But this is one of the first showings of it, I believe. And the Doctor and surgery get through it. Anyway, so eventually,
Where that riddle originated?
I don't know.
Because I thought it was a thing before Doctor Who.
Probably Greek.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably Greek, like ancient Greek.
There's still YouTube videos today that say, here's a riddle about two aliens. It's like, I've heard this one before.
Alright, so the servant of Sutekh and one of his golems finally gets to the heart of the pyramid. And there's a golem there with some sashes who only serves... he only serves not...
the voice of Horus.
Horus. And so the golems are fighting. Whap, 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 whap.
Do you know what WAP stands for?
What?
WAP?
Yeah, what?
Oh, I'll tell you later. This is a music video.
Okay, well, there's WASP, White Anglo-Saxon Protestant. That's a classic for
Never heard that one before.
WASP, White Anglo-Saxon Protestant. It's for, well, white people who are Protestant. Not Catholic. It's a classic term from the 60s onward.
Is that what Protestant means? Is just not Catholic?
It means
Like
Christian,
Like
not
Jewish
Catholic.
and Gentile?
No, Christian, not Catholic.
I hate Gentiles, by the way.
We are Gentiles. Alright, so you have like Judaism and Christian and Muslim and Hindu and whatever. In Christianity, there's Catholic and there's Protestant, and those are the two things.
Everyone fits into those two terms. Like
In Christianity,
you
yes.
can contain all of humanity in the term Jew and Gentile.
You can.
Then
I mean...
like how many... It's just a weird definition of like, I'm American and then I make a word for everyone that's not American. Like, everyone's either American or non-American, and that encompasses all of humanity. And that's what was very popular in Judaism. It's, I'm a Jew, those are Gentiles, which just means not Jew. Which is a weird phrase if you think about it.
In Christianity,
it's like, I'm French. It's like, oh, you're a not American. It's like, well, I'm French, not American.
Correct. I mean, there's us and them. That's a classic. Us and them.
But it's not just us and them. It's us and them and them and them and them and them.
Them is one giant ass category containing everyone that's not us.
It's very diverse.
Well, yeah. I mean,
just like, they're all the same.
That's all of history. I mean,
they're all not us.
It's like, okay, male, female,
like I've never really
American, non-American.
I've never used the phrase non-American.
Christian,
it's either
heathen,
American,
you know,
or French. Heathen. Whoa.
Heathen. No, but No, I mean, history is rife with people trying to define people by categories, trying to divide them. You know,
I just think it's a funny...
I don't like the divisions.
I think it's a funny
humanity
definition.
is one big global humanity. You know.
Yeah.
I don't like the divisions.
You don't like Gentiles?
I love Gentiles. I love Jews. I love white. I love black. I love everybody. I mean, I just love humanity. You know.
I hate Gentiles.
You hate what? I just love humanity. I don't like the division seeking, which is usually on the left. You know. So they try to divide people.
Everyone's. I don't have much hope for humanity. We're in the end game now.
Okay, I can't argue against that. But I hope you're wrong about not liking humanity. Alright.
Well, that's... Okay.
So the doctor... Okay, so the doctor is in...
Mars.
Is in Mars, in the temple of Mars.
There's oxygen in the temple, luckily.
Right. And they've gotten through all these games, and the 2 hours are fighting each other, and then...
Sarah Jane Smith almost died again.
Right, of course.
If her life didn't hold in the balance of a very easy riddle.
Reasonably easy riddle. So then the...
It's a very hard riddle, but you've heard it a million times, so it's easy because... It's like, why did the chicken cross the road? It's like, oh, I've heard this one. But the first time you hear it, it's like, oh, this is new. But then it's just...
Why did the punk rocker cross the road?
Like, the first time they ask you to pull their finger, you're like, what's going to happen? And then you're asked 100 other times, you're like, I know this one. You know?
Why did the punk rocker cross the road?
Why did he cross the road?
He was stapled to the chicken.
I don't get it. The punk rocker is stapled to the chicken.
Yeah. That was something they used to do back in the day.
That's a punk. They stapled punk rockers to chicken.
They stapled chickens to punk. They did a lot of stupid ass stuff back in the day. Punk rockers. Ozzy used to eat the head off of bats on live shows.
Why did the politician cross the road?
Why?
Everyone thought it was a chicken because he's all tarred and feathered.
I wish that was the case.
I like that the punk rock one.
Okay.
Do you want to bring tar and feathering back? Because that's horrific.
For some people, yes. All right.
It used to be like scalding tar, though. Like
yes.
People who were burned.
Yes. For some people, yes.
No. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
Okay. So the doctor gets in there right as Dr. Marcus, the servant of what's his name? Sutek gets in and destroys the Eye of Horus, this giant ruby egg.
Do you think that was actually his eye? Did he go?
I'm free.
He goes, I'm keeping an eye on you.
And then he dies, turns into a skeleton, because he was already a skeleton. Doctor and Sarah Jane get in there and like, okay, there's that one great scene when they walk in, one room before, they walk in, they see the golem, they turn around, walk out. That's an old Marx Brothers joke, and it was done so perfectly there.
You ever play Dark Souls?
No.
There's this one great... So Dark Souls is a game that's known for being very, very difficult, which isn't something that's super common in modern video games. It's like, they want everything to be user-friendly, consumer-friendly, and they dumb down all these RPGs.
I had a girlfriend once who was user-friendly.
So this Dark Souls is a very difficult video game. There's this, kind of like a horror RPG.
Yeah.
And they're in this cave, and it's really, really dark, and you carry this lantern around, and it doesn't give it very much illumination. It's like a few feet you can see ahead of you, so that you have the player character, he's walking in this cavern, and he lifts up the lantern, and he sees this like horrific, Cthulhu-esque beast, and he just turns around. it's the Marxian... Like, what do you call that?
Brothers,
yeah, there should be a name for that. Like, you say something, you go, nope, and you turn around. I'm sure there's some sort of name.
There's still got to be a term for it, but it comes from the Marx Brothers / Laurel and Hardy from back in vaudeville days. But anyway, so
slapstick.
Yeah. So the doctor sees what happens, and he and Sarah Jane run as all the doors are opened. They run back as fast as they can to the TARDIS, because it's at the end of the hall.
Like the
they get into the TARDIS. They shoot back to Earth.
Supposedly.
And he's got the TARDIS control thing, hooks it up to the blue sarcophagus, and here is Suit Tech coming through this transitory thing, and the doctor says, no.
Oh, his mask came off, by the way.
He looks like that.
Dematerialized his mask. He had a horse
face thing. And the doctor's like, no, you're not coming through. I will send you through a time corridor to the end of time. And
Dormammu?
Yeah.
You ever watch Doctor Strange?
Doctor Strange in a sing-along blog?
That's Doctor Horrible.
Yeah, I've watched Doctor Horrible.
You haven't seen Doctor Strange?
No.
You would like it.
Maybe.
Marvel movie.
No.
You would like Doctor Strange though.
No.
Dormammu?
No, I like Doctor Horrible. Alright.
We should watch that tonight. What are you doing tonight? You want to watch Doctor
This!
Strange?
I'm doing this tonight.
After
I don't
this,
want to watch Doctor
you don't want
Strange.
to watch it?
No. It's Marvel. I'm sick and tired of Marvel.
It's before the... It's good.
No.
You'd like it. You like it.
I'm done with superheroes.
You like it.
Alright, so anyway,
We're gonna watch
the Doctor sticks Set into this time corridor,
paradox.
which will go off to almost infinity, and Set lasts 7,000 years and then dies. Yeah.
It's pretty morbid.
It is. Oh, he lasted 7,000 years, then he died. He would never make it to the end. You know?
M. Night Shyamalan just came out with this new movie. Have you heard about it?
What movie?
I can't remember what it's called. The premise is these people, they show up to this really obscure beach, and then they start aging super fast. You watched the movie?
Yes.
You liked it?
I liked it. I really liked it. I did.
What was that movie called? Old. It's called Old.
Old, yeah. I actually liked it. The premise was phenomenal. And the execution was fairly good.
Good. Okay.
Mm.
I really like the idea of it. I didn't know if the execution was very good. Because
the execution was fairly good.
It's M. Night Shyamalan, and he's pretty hit or miss.
Right. But this was pretty reasonably good, yes.
That's what the Doctor does to Set. He olds it. He runs out his entire lifespan.
Right. So Set dies in the time tunnel. End of episode. We're done.
We're done. Next time, the android invasion.
True. Android invasion.
4.5 episodes.
Died in this one?
7.
Every single person in the
that's
in the area except the Doctor and Sarah Jane.
Every single character that was introduced then died.
Except the Doctor and Sarah Jane. Yeah, it's so sad.
Well, they weren't introduced.
But this happened several further times,
Servant,
and it's
the poacher.
It's fairly macabre.
Lawrence,
macabre,
Collins,
as the guy says.
Macabre. Yeah. If this is a joke, it's very.
It's macabre. But the old timey guy says macabre.
Pretty sure he said macabre.
No, he said macabre in the episode.
Want a bit?
Yes.
What's the name of the?
I will bet you he says macabre.
Bray. He's not Spanish.
No.
No one
it's
says
1911.
Macabre.
He's still under French influence. He says macabre.
The French don't even say macabre.
Not now, but they did 100 years ago.
No, the only people that say macabre are the people that don't know it's pronounced macabre.
Nowadays, macabre. Back then, it was macabre. What do you wish to bet? He says it in the episode.
Buffet?
In Vegas?
Yeah, I'm already buying you one. This is our second buffet.
You're buying more than that, but yeah.
Well, this is...
All right. He says macabre. Macabre. He does it in the episode.
I'm pretty sure I'm wrong, but... I'm getting a buffet either way. If I'm paying
well, I ain't paying for me. Alright. Okay, so... Oh my gosh.
Is that episode 2, 3?
2, I think. Okay.
I should keep a score count on the dumbest bets that I make. So far, I've won 1
out of 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've had official disagreements before. We never bet on them. I've won disagreements before. We've only bet on 1 that I've won so far.
It's been on like 4.
I'm not always wrong. I'm just.
Right.
I usually don't bet
Mostly
on
always
when I'm
wrong.
right. I just mostly don't bet on when I'm right.
Or I don't bet when he's right, when I think he's right.
Do you always bet on black or red or white? What is it? How do you? What is that? Craps?
No. It's
What is that called? See, I'd rather do the luck games than like things that require skill, like 21.
Okay, it's roulette. You're talking
Roulette,
about
yeah.
roulette. It's
I like
red
to-
and black.
I'm gonna walk up. I'm gonna throw the minimum bet on some chance game, and then that's gonna be my Vegas experience. That's
You have to bet something when you're in Vegas.
I'm absolutely not doing a card game because those are incredibly intimidating. The dealer's gonna yell at me.
You do
'cause,
roulette or craps.
I'm gonna do something wrong, like touch my chips when I'm not supposed to, and they're gonna be like, "Don't do that." I'm gonna get picked up by a couple of bouncers and roughed up in the back.
They don't usually do that.
They should like people that are bad at poker because it means they're giving you money, but they're very intimidating. It's very intimidating. Like you go to Vegas and you do something wrong, they're like, "Don't do that."
We're gonna have fun in Vegas. Okay, what are your questions about tonight before we get on to Vegas and everything?
What do I do? Okay, so we talked about the doctor's lifespan, 750 years,
Right.
which is middle age, but then somehow
For
he
Time
goes
Lords.
on to live several lifetimes for a time Lord for some reason.
And then he's got
Because he's granted a new set of regenerations, right? Which means regenerations are manufactured, which means it's a technology invented by the Time Lords, which leads canonical credence,
canonically.
which lends canonical.
Canonically.
That's 2 separate words.
No, it's-
Canonical is a word.
and canonically is a different word.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm not using the word canonically. It leads canonical credence to the fact that to the timeless child, right?
No.
The regenerations came from somewhere. It's a technology if they can grant a new set of regenerations, which means it's manufactured. It's not. So where did they get that technology? Somewhere. Probably an alien species, like the Doctor, Timeless Child.
No.
I haven't seen. Obviously, I haven't seen.
No.
Obviously, I haven't seen season 13 yet.
No. Okay, series
13.
13 is still ongoing.
But
There's only a couple episodes in.
But theoretically, it sounds like a cool concept. It makes sense. Whether or not you like it or if it's done right. Okay.
Well, I will see it when it comes out on Blu-ray.
All right.
I will watch it then. But
Well, I'm talking about the part you already watched and don't like, right?
no, I haven't seen either of the 2 episodes that
Oh, so how do you know
aired.
you don't like it yet?
No. Okay.
You watched the
I've watched the trailers. I haven't seen
the
series
first
13.
series of the 13th Doc.
I've watched the first 2 series. Series 11, Series 12.
Okay.
And they're crap.
All right. I think it's a good concept. Anyway. Because at this point, it's hinting at the fact that regenerations are a manufactured technology. If they're able to grant, it's a society, it's a council of Time Lords that force regenerations, revoke privileges, lend sets of
That
regenerations.
theory has been going on since the 80s. With 70s?
Yeah, already because
70s.
I would say
with
since
the Master and the Time Lords.
I would say that
the Tom
concept
Baker era.
started with Troughton because they forced Troughton to regenerate.
But no.
Because which means they have
No, it really started in the Tom Baker era where we are.
right. But starting with Troughton, they forced Troughton to regenerate, which means they have some sort of authority over the whole process.
Right,
It's not
but not
purely
the giving of extra
biological.
regeneration.
It's scientific, which it's a technology.
The giving of extra regenerations only showed up in the Tom Baker era, where we are, with the Master. The first time there was a theory that the Time Lords could grant extra regenerations.
I'm excited for it.
And we're not there yet. We will be there soon, but we're not there yet.
I like the concept of the Endless Child. I haven't seen that.
No,
the
Tom
Timeless
Shaw is
Child.
so bad.
Okay. But it makes sense, though.
No!
What doesn't make sense is him choosing to die a million times and regenerate.
Okay, that's...
Why is he able to do that? There's still a set amount of regenerations, which also leads credence to the canonicity of the Endless Child.
Okay.
The Doctor Special.
Heaven sent, hell bent. He doesn't regenerate him a billion times. He reconstitutes himself a billion times.
I'm theorizing on what I've heard. Obviously, I haven't watched any of these. I'm sure they are terrible. I'm sure they are terrible. But theoretically, in my mind, it makes sense that those would be moving on.
Any other questions?
We talked about Sarah Jane Smith wearing Victoria's dress. We've talked about the setting. We've talked about... Oh, the Doctor throws his pocket watch into the space tunnel, and that, for some reason, deactivates the parallax coil. Is there any... Do you glean any sort of significance from that interaction, or is that just some plot device?
That's Deus Machina.
So he loses his pocket watch, though. That pocket watch was important, right?
No, Deus Machina.
Does the pocket watch come back? It's just
just a way. Well, okay. Pocket watches come back in Doctor Who as significant.
But Baker's pocket watch is gone for
but we don't suspect that pocket watch is.
That's like part of his character. That's like him throwing the scarf into the parallax.
No, not as much. No,
not as much, but.
Yeah, he does it. It happens.
Apparently, he walked up to this portal. He almost died. He tossed his pocket watch. There's an explosion. I was sitting there and I'm like, I have no idea what just happened. And then he gives this very wishy-washy answer explanation of, here's a parallax coil. I underestimated Sutek. Good thing I
this was a basic trap. Yeah.
I don't understand. So. You said you were going to explain the timeline to me, because Sarah Jane Smith brings up a very important point that I bring up all the time, that I've constantly struggled with, which is why the Doctor interfering is at all significant, because it's a set timeline, and they're from the future. And they get to the TARDIS, and Sarah Jane's like, okay, well, let's just go home, because let's go back to the 1980s. And the Doctor's like, we can't do that.
Because
Set is going to destroy the past. And she's like, no, he's not. We've been to the future. We know he doesn't succeed. And he's like, but he does. How is that so? So that obviously implies the fact of branching timelines.
Yeah.
But where's the Doctor's interaction? So the TARDIS is traveling in time and space, but also dimensional time rifts through different branches in time. So is the Doctor... He's not changing fixed points in time, because there's obviously like a main timeline, but he's also policing alternate branches in time to protect those realities?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what's the question?
I don't know what's going on.
Okay.
Obviously, they've been to the 1980s. They're from the 1980s. 1980s is fine. They go back in time. Just their mere presence being there, some end of humanity evil shows up.
No.
And they happen to be there for it. And then they have to fix it. Otherwise, the future that they just came from is destroyed.
It's the butterfly effect. You change one thing in the past, the whole future's screwed.
But they didn't change anything.
Well, they need to stop.
Professor Scarman. If they never showed up in 1911, 1980 would have never changed.
No, not necessarily. They were sent to 1911 by the TARDIS to fix what was going on so 1980 could actually happen.
So at the end of Planet of Evil, if they just decided to not get in the TARDIS, what would have happened? So the TARDIS is taking the Doctor to these alternate branches in time to police the... Okay, so it's the theory that there's only one timeline, but it's self-correcting in the fact that the Big Bang created this
It's self-correcting
thing.
the fact
They
that
created this thing so it could go back in time to create itself.
it's self-correcting the fact that the Doctor goes and fixes things.
But why is it up to the Doctor to protect the timeline? Shouldn't that
He's a
be?
Time Lord.
But shouldn't that be the
He's
time?
a Time Lord.
He revoked the time. He's
No, he rejected
excommunicated.
Time Lord
He's
technology,
rejected,
but he's still a Time Lord.
which means
And that comes up soon, actually.
which means the Time Lords are still controlling his TARDIS, or his TARDIS is so
Sometimes.
integrated with the Time Lords that they're controlling the
No,
Doctor
no, no,
for
no,
the
no.
Time Lords.
The Doctor is so isometrically integrated with the TARDIS that it takes him to places where it needs to be, despite what he wants.
So, I'm in the military. I'm a random, recruit. I go AWOL. The entire U.S. military says we need this guy that went AWOL to protect all of America, otherwise humanity's going to end. That's basically what the Time Lords are doing with the Doctor. He goes off, they're like, we need you. Why? Why is it up to the Doctor?
Sometimes they do. Sometimes they call him in.
Because
And
he's
we will
outside
get
of the
to
law.
we will get to the Key of Time series.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
We will get to the Key of Time.
I'm so
Yes,
frustrated.
we will. And we're gonna get to the Deadly Assassin here pretty soon.
So we have the Doctor. So
Okay, so some of your answers are coming.
okay, good.
And they will happen, Deadly Assassin, they will
So-
happen in the Key of Time.
Good. I should write that down. My question here is, I'm very impatient and I don't want to wait for explanations. So just recently we had the Doctor accurately. That was the Planet of Evil, right? Yeah. So in the Planet of Evil, we had the Doctor hop in the TARDIS and accurately navigate through space, but not time. You got, because the Doctor could never accurately pilot the TARDIS to anywhere he wants, time and space. So,
Yes.
but the Planet of Evil, he hopped in the TARDIS and he navigated it in space, no problem. He showed up where he wanted to. He just didn't move in time. Now this time, in the the Pyramids of Mars, we had him hop in the TARDIS, accurately navigate.
Through space, but not through time.
Yeah, okay.
Because the face showed up.
He navigated to Mars, right? Yeah. I don't know why I wrote down time here. So same thing. It's weird. I don't know what the significance of that is.
Okay.
TARDIS is very finicky. Like,
Well,
I don't exactly
She
understand.
is. All right. Any more questions?
so we had the Doctor jerry-rig Lawrence's radio wave machine
Yes.
to break the connection between Marcus Gardner
Mm-hmm.
and Sutet.
Right.
But then Lawrence, fearing for the life of his brother Marcus, who's already dead, interrupts this process, and then the golems show up and the machine breaks, and the Doctor is very frustrated. He says, you messed up our plan. I was going to use the machine to break the
Right.
link between Sutet and Marcus. Your brother's already dead. Why are you fighting for him? But the previous episode, we had the Doctor explaining that Lawrence's machine was exactly the same as his handheld, less cumbersome one. Why couldn't he use that radio wave machine to do the exact same thing he was doing with the other one? Because he's like, you broke this machine, now you ruined my plan, even though he had the exact same machine in his pocket.
No, similar machines.
Well, it did the same thing. Couldn't he use that to do the same radio waves to break the...
Maybe. I don't know.
Black hole. BBC, get it together. Have they not retroactively fixed this plot hole yet?
No!
Is that not
no.
number one on their list? There should be a committee that goes
plot hole,
back.
it's a plot pinprick.
There should be a pinprick committee that goes back and goes, we gotta explain this. We gotta explain this. Bulletproof it has.
Alright, what's next?
That's what the fandom's for. I want to. Okay. Oh, the doctor basically doesn't acknowledge the death of someone. The doctor. So, 6 people had died by episode 3. Alright, 7 total. 6 people died. The doctor said 4 people died. 5, including Dr. Marcus Garisman.
But
So he's just not
missed somebody.
acknowledging the death
No,
of
he
somebody.
missed. I think he missed the Egyptian.
I don't think the doctor values humanity.
No, I think he missed the Egyptian.
Sarah Jane Smith
He wasn't there
herself
for the
says.
Egyptian.
Sarah Jane Smith herself says the doctor's not acting human in this serial. He doesn't
Yeah, I'm
have-
taking a leak. You keep going.
Well, that's basically my last question.
Wait, what? That's the last question.
I think so.
You keep talking. I'll be back.
What do I talk about?
I don't know. We got the
Experience.
movie. We watched the movie.
Oh,
Brothers
so
Grimm.
Sarah shot a gun. Sarah shoots a gun with expertise. I'll say that for when Heather gets back. Yeah, we watched a movie. We watched The Brothers Grimm, which is a Terry Gilliam's film, which I'm 2/3 of the way through every Terry Gilliam film. Only because Hatter wants to show me every Terry Gilliam film, and I don't know why. I think Terry Gilliam is Hatter's favorite director, at least one of his favorite directors. So he has every Terry Gilliam film, and he's showing me all of them, which I've really been doing my best to fight against because I feel like Terry Gilliam is my least favorite. And he's a great director, great, artistic vision. He's very good at what he does. It just so happens that what he does is things that I really don't like. like The Time Bandits, for example. That's a movie I watched when I was very young. Just so many of his movies have really bad endings, and it's like, I didn't like that movie at all. I don't want, as a kid, I always thought, the good guys always win. It's always super predictable. I was reading, the Green Lantern, Superman, Batman comics, The Flash, and I'm like, Spider-Man. Like, these are all the same. They're always in the same, they always make you try and think that the superhero dies, but he never does, and he always wins. I'm like, it's boring. I want the villains to win once, make it unpredictable. I want consequences. And I was reading this Transformers comic book, and the Autobots lost, the Decepticons won, and that's how the comic book ends. And you're like, this feels terrible. That's what I was like 9 years old, and that's when I realized, no, I don't want the bad guys to win. I want the very predictable fairy tale ending, and that's very much the opposite of what Terry Gilliam does. He always makes these movies that have these like really bizarre cliffhangers and terrible endings, and you're dissatisfied, and it's like, the child left in the street, and you're like, what happens? I need to know he's going to be okay, and oh gosh. Anyway, luckily, The Brothers Grimm wasn't one of those movies. It had a happy ending, so I was happy. Kind of like Baron Munchausen, happy ending. Unlike movies like Tideland and Time Bandits, which is just horrible endings.
What?
I was talking about
horrible endings.
It's a terrible ending.
What's a terrible ending?
The Time Bandits.
Great ending. Love that ending.
I take it back. Tideland had a good ending. It's just the other 98% of the movie was terrible. Time Bandits was a really fun ending. Had a horrible ending. It's just the child left in the street by himself with no parents.
What's the horrible ending?
It's terrible. He's
It's
abandoned.
not what you want,
He
but it
becomes
was
an
perfect.
orphan.
It was perfect for that movie.
It was not perfect.
It was perfect.
What
for
was
that movie.
perfect was his father figure, who was the king in Sparta or whatever,
Macedonia.
Sean Connery, the king of Macedonia,
Yes.
who was the firefighter, was his father figure, abandons him. You project all his insecurities on this character. His parents are killed, and he's an orphan child left standing in the street with a burnt down house, and that's how the movie ends.
His parents are turned into hermit crabs by touching ultimate evil.
It's terrible.
No, it's a great ending.
Why is that a good ending?
It's perfect for that movie.
Also, the fact that
Perfect.
Also, the fact that God is some guy that's playing chess with us humans as pawns. He's just like, I made this supreme being because I was just it was an experiment. That's why these people die. The ultimate evil is why you guys die in horrible deaths, because I was bored. I had a few, numbers to round up. It's just this some accountant in a suit is God. He's like, I made Satan because I didn't.
So what did you think of The Brothers Grimm?
I was saying that was a good movie because it had a good ending, which is what I like.
It was a good movie.
Like,
Terry Gilliam, yay.
I'll even take a Baron Munchausen ending because that was sad, but it still had a good ending.
The Adventures of Baron Munchausen.
Because it was at the twilight of his life, so he ended in a successful adventure and he died. It was sad, but it was a good ending overall.
But he still lived.
And he still is, is left up to this mysterious interpretation of, did it happen? Did it not happen? It really did happen. The Brothers Grimm, good ending. Time Bandit's terrible bad ending. So I'm 2/3 of the way through all Terry Gilliam's films.
Pretty much, yeah.
Exactly 2/3.
Yeah.
It's for a 12 films. I'm 8 films through the 12 films that you made.
Pretty much, yeah. And I need to show you the...
I don't know if I can watch any more Terry.
No. Okay, see, what you have left is The Fisher King. Good movie.
Good movie.
Good movie. Robin Williams. No. It's a good ending, unfortunately.
Did you watch the Robin Williams movie where he's a photo development booth guy?
Yeah.
What was that movie called? He develops photos at like Walmart.
28 days later or something.
And then he's like, he goes on this revenge campaign
Yeah.
to catch these people cheating.
Well, yeah, saw that. Good movie.
It was a good movie.
But anyway.
He talks about how the origin of the word photograph comes from hunting or something. Really cool.
Right. But anyway, so Robin Williams is in
Rest in peace.
The Fisher King.
He was also in Baron Munchausen.
Yes, he was.
He was the
Baron
moon
Munchausen.
head.
He's
Not
also
a
in The
credited
Zero
role.
Theorem. Which
Did
is
I watch that
another
one?
movie.
Have we watched that one yet?
Nope.
We haven't watched that one yet. So he's on like 4 of
4 or 5 of
Terry
Gilliam's
Gilliam
films.
movies. I'm impressed.
Yeah. And we still need to see The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, which is the best movie left that you haven't seen.
That's one I've heard of. I don't know anything about it, literally anything, but I've heard the title. So.
But it's of Terry Gilliam's films that you haven't seen. It's the best one.
I'm excited. We should watch a movie in Vegas. We should watch a movie in Vegas.
Well, no, we're gonna watch Doctor Who in Vegas to do a Doctor Who on location.
We're gonna do it for like 5 days.
4 nights. Yeah.
What are we gonna do in the hotel room when we're having full fights in our
Really?
So, the doctor hands Sarah Jane Smith a gun, right? And he goes, "Don't miss. You only have one shot. You won't have a chance to take another shot."
Mm.
And she goes, "I know what I'm doing," which implies the fact that Sarah Jane Smith has like firearms experience. Does it ever explain that later? Why is she like some marksman?
No.
She totally gets that dead eye shot. Never explains it.
But fine, she's a marksman.
By the way, did you guys know?
That.
Did you guys know that Sarah Jane Smith was like a dead-eye marksman?
Well, a reasonable marksman. She was maybe about 40 feet from the target. I mean, that's reasonable.
The confidence, though.
Well, good. Good for her. I like it. I really do. Good for Sarah Jane.
Oh, also, Time Lords breathe through their buttholes. Did you know that? It's canon. So the doctor's being strangled to death by the golem, right? Strangled
They
to
don't
death.
breathe through their buttholes.
Where
They're
else?
secondary circulatory
No,
system.
he called it respiratory
Bypass.
bypass. So all of his circulation and respiratory is being cut off from the neck up, right? So if you're bypassing your respiratory system, which is your lungs, you need to get oxygen through your lungs. Every orifice from your neck up is being constricted. Where are you bypassing through? You have your butthole. That's the only orifice that's left that he's breathing through.
No.
Where else is he getting oxygen? His urethra? He's breathing through an orifice from the neck down
His belly
to his
button.
lungs.
You do his belly button.
He doesn't have gills. Belly button. The belly button's not an orifice anymore. Not after birth. It's sealed.
What? Alright. Not necessarily for Time Lords.
I'm pretty sure canonically Time Lords bypass through their buttholes. I think this is one of the greatest discoveries. I'm going straight to some form somewhere, and I'm gonna get other Whovians' opinions on this theory.
I'm so sorry.
I'm definitely getting Whovians. This is a good. What else could it be? I think people are gonna agree with me. I'm gonna poll the Reddit to the subreddit. Why does it take so long? I'm waiting like 30 seconds for you to hit me. That's my last question.
Any other questions?
Until then, that's it. That's all.
Okay.
That was the.
So we watched the Brothers Grimm the other night, and what did you think of the Brothers Grimm?
I liked it.
Yeah,
90%.
good movie.
I like 90% of the movie.
Except the girl with the no eyes.
I like the actors. Mark Wahlberg. Is that right? Mark Wahlberg?
I think so.
That doesn't sound right. I think it was Mark. Is that right? I know it was.
I don't know. I mean, it had.
I know it was Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger.
And then I think Mark Wahlberg was the other brother. It was a fun movie. It was Grimm's Tales?
The Brothers Grimm.
No, what am I thinking of? You know all the fantasy books that Disney took all their IPs from?
Yeah, the Brothers Grimm.
Yeah. Those set of stories. It was
Anyway,
fun.
great movie. Loved it.
It was a good movie. We had fun. I'm gonna go watch Dune. We'll watch Doctor Strange at some point.
And we can talk about it, hopefully in Vegas.
In Vegas.
We're going to Vegas.
Next time, you'll see us in Vegas. Live from, not live. We gotta do a live podcast at some point. 0 people tune in.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that, but Las Vegas.
Las Vegas. It's gonna be fun.
Yay.
You feeling toasty, Hatter?
Yes.
We have to go resolve this bet. Whether it's macabre or macabre.
He says say macabre.
We'll find out. We'll see you next time. In Vegas.
In Vegas, our
we
first off-site episode.
Yes. I'm always mentally upset. Say bye-bye, Hatter.
Bye-bye. See you next week. Yay.